courthouse deals with both the law and lawlessness of a county. Huntingdon's first courthouse was built over on Penn and Allegheny Street. Today, the bailiff calls "all rise" when the judge comes in the room. Well, in the early 1800s, they were processed in with drum and fife. The second courthouse was built in 1842, but the first was not torn down until about 1848. Confusing for lawyers in a hurry, perhaps? Plans for the third courthouse were submitted in 1882 after the county outgrew the second courthouse. From a brilliant mathematical deduction, I'm sure you've guessed that this building is in fact the third courthouse. This one is on the same site as the second one, so no more confusing the lawyers. The most interesting story about the courthouse comes before any of these three additions were built. It's not a story about the building, but a story of crime and punishment, if you will. General William McAlevey hung out in Harrisburg for a while with his wife and kids, then headed west as a not-so-young man. The Juniata Valley was still a challenge, a wilderness never seen before by Europeans. So General McAlevey came this way to settle the new frontier, or because he needed a break from his wife. He wound up 15 miles up the road and built himself a cabin where the town of McAlevey's Fort is today. He also prepared to bring his family here by building his fort. Jump ahead 10 years. It was 1787, the Constitutional Convention was happening, and General McAlevey was ticked about it. There was resistance to the signing of the Constitution in many parts of the country, and this was one of them. What finally set him off was the establishment of Huntingdon County. The men who were put in charge all favored the Constitution. So what's an angry general to do? Well, make an angry mob. He came into town with his militia, and they did very angry mob-like things repetitively. They yelled and showed their guns and burnt a copy of the Constitution. The first time this happened, the militia was intercepted by the county officials. So they brought him to the courthouse, right? Wrong. The courthouse still hadn't been built yet. Serving in its place was Ludwig Sell's Tavern. They say that justice as well as drinks were dispensed. So you see, justice isn't blind, it's just passed out from a long night of boozing. A few months later, the county decided to punish General McAlevey by trying to replace him as a militia leader. Good plan? Wrong-o. When the trembling group of county officials sent Judge Smith out to serve the group their warrant, he had very few options. He couldn't send the men to jail. No jail had been built yet. He had to let them go. The militia came back with guns and knives, surrounded Judge Smith, and destroyed the evidence to be used against them. Other men, they tore up warrants in the judge's face, saying, "See what it is to be a justice." General kept up his protests for over a year, but he never lost the respect of Huntingdon citizens. I better go pick those up. I don't have a militia at my command to stop me from being fined for littering. Well, my courthouse knowledge now is about as empty as a lawyer's office in heaven, so let's move on to the next stop. I'll be joining you after I tidy up.